Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
And the dogs are a little wound up.
Yeah.
They've had their breakfast, I think, have they?
They had just some snacks, and that's just not enough.
Okay,
Right
yeah,
now.
not enough for these guys. You know, we'll do a little video soon out there in the yard so you could get a scope on how big these two are getting. Oh, wow. And so we do want to ask everybody, just double check, make sure you're still subscribed to Evolutionary Energy Arts, where we've gone over 66K for like the fourth time in 5 days, and then we go back. As they just removed another video from Evolutionary for medical misinformation, going against the WHO. And look at this. We talked about this just a little while ago. They vote to take away your national sovereignty. In May, it's coming up. WHO, there you go.
Were you able to find exactly what the misinformation was?
Well, it's just anything that goes against what the WHO says is diagnosed as medical misinformation, so they remove it.
Okay.
And exactly what did we say? I'm not really sure. Maybe it was talking about natural health and wellness and alternatives. So EEARTS, now again, every now and then I get somebody saying, oh, your channel's all doom and gloom, and they haven't looked at EEARTS. They're just watching Evolutionary, where what we're going to do is we're going to cover everything going more news related on Evolutionary along with the earth changes. And then we're going to keep EEARTS for the hidden history and the spiritual. If you look at the latest videos, they're on the top line. Then we have the healing through energy work, Qigong, meditation, Reiki, mantras next. Then we have the Vedic astrology. Then when Cindy felt the urge to put in something that's binge worthy, like timeless classic type stuff. So, you know, things like the 7 Hermetic Principles, the burning a library at Alexandria, Gnosticism, Sophia, etc. So we'll be putting things like that over there, the timeless stuff in that category. And there'll be a lot of changes coming as we get things a little bit more organized. What's fascinating is all the trickle disclosure that keeps coming out. And, you know, they're getting ready at some point in time. And again, we feel it's between about 5 and 8 years, or I should say, I feel it's about 5 to 8 years. That they will actually introduce to you a living, breathing extraterrestrial.
I'm sure it's just going to be some insect, though, but we'll see.
Well, we have a particularly awesome doctor. He happens to be a mantid.
Yes, we do, and I don't mean to insult insects. I'm sorry.
Yes, absolutely, because, you know, life is much different than we've been led to believe. So China has a rover up there on Mars. And really, when you look at what the statement they make, it's kind of staggering. They say that they've been searching a vast dry seabed in Mars's northern hemisphere since touching down in May 2021, right? So a whole year. And they've been analyzing rocks and sediments. What did they find? They're looking for water. Well, it's a big range, but basically they say that they have found that the water that they thought was lost from Mars, it's not really lost at all. They found that between 30 and 90% of Mars's original water is trapped in minerals in the crust. 90% of the original water, that sounds like that planet could be, you know, at some point in time terraformed, or maybe a natural cycle will just bring that water back out to the surface, where, you know, maybe Mars will be very much similar to what we have going on Earth at some time in the future. You know, that's really pretty staggering to think about, that there might be 90% of the water still there. We were told that it had been, and this is what they had told us, it had been previously been believed that Mars lost nearly all of its water and atmosphere about 3 billion years ago, during a period called the Hesperian period, which preceded the present Amazonian period. However, evidence that they found points to water activity in the Utopia Planitia just 700 million years ago. That's quite a bit less than 3 billion years ago. But again, I don't believe their timing, and I don't think the guides think that their timing is accurate as well. But 90% of original water is still being on the planet, and they're giving you a range of 30 to 90%, maybe 100% still there. Maybe it's just simply underground.
I know it's. I don't think they ever tire of revising their information. It's like, they start a sentence one way and they finish it just backwards, and that's just the way the science is.
And, what we've gotten from the guides, there's a reason why Mars is the planet of war.
Uh-huh.
And the beings that lived on Mars are a little bit more aggressive than, say, the beings that were inhabiting Earth before Earth was colonized by an aggressive force.
Well, when I tapped into that energy, it was beings that were quite feisty. They really held their ground and didn't back down easily, and that's the kind of atmosphere and vibration that I got when I went there.
And this is a look at just some of the anomalies that we've found in photos on Mars that just don't look natural. They just don't look natural. That doesn't look natural. That looks like some sort of, I don't know, some sort of wheel, some sort of flower pattern. There's so many things that looks pretty damn round to occur in nature, doesn't it? It looks like somebody's got like a drum from a break or something that just fell over there. Look at somebody's hand still pointing. They came from up there.
Look up there, quick.
Yeah, or maybe that's the Martian middle finger. I don't know. Oh!
It could be.
Look at the terrace to this. Looks like paved. That doesn't look normal. Does it? Now, actually, this reminds me a lot of being out in Nevada desert. And we were in the Nevada desert just roaming around where people don't really roam. And we found strange stuff. I got to go through the photos. I keep saying that. We found these circular imprints in rock that makes you think that there was some sort of very large equipment or machinery on it where there's never been anything. It's this Death Valley that we're talking about. We had a lot of fun exploring around Death Valley. That was, Cindy's habitat for a very, very long time.
Yes, and it's very different, and boy, does it definitely look like this Mars landscape.
Absolutely. And I felt death and destruction and cataclysm that was totally war-related. Totally war-related. And Cindy will be hopefully going under in the next couple of days because she was talking in her sleep. Remember that song? I hear the secrets that you keep when you're talking in your sleep. Well, with her, I could tell she's up on a ship. Her physical body's right next to me, but her consciousness isn't, and she's having conversations with the galactics, and it did feel like there's something Earth change related that might be on the horizon, that they were giving us an update. So we will be going under, or Cindy will be going under, I should say, to extract some more info as you look at, what was this, a statue of like a ram's head or something? Maybe it was a dragon's head. I don't know.
Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, that's a really
wow.
curious little shape there. Mm-hmm. Now, how about that? That reminds me of some of the temples in India. There's a temple in India that's built into the ground that they excavated. Looks a lot like that. It's massive. It's just incredible. Oh, the mysteries that are in India. Look at this stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's just all random formations, and then some formations that look like they could be animal carcasses or some sort of being's carcass. Or heads or skulls.
Oh, smiley face.
Yeah.
Cute. Adorable.
That's curious. What's that? Somebody lost wheels or something? I don't... It's just weird. There's a lot of stuff, and there's links to many, many more anomalies there. By the way, as we were talking about, U.S. Congress to question the Pentagon on UFOs, the House Intel Committee will hold its first public hearing on UAPs. UFOs have become UAPs. Just to keep you guys updated. And so, this is something that will there be a little bit more trickle disclosure coming? I hope so. Again, it's going to be mind blowing for so many people when it's straight out there. It's going to shake some paradigms. I do think it's going to be kind of like you guys might not remember Orson Welles' War of the Worlds. It was a show where he was just basically doing a radio show back in the golden age of radio and just talking about an alien invasion that didn't happen. This was just a story. But people just tuned in when it was underway and they thought it was real, and they were jumping off of bridges and buildings. They were panicking. They didn't know how to handle it. How about when they roll out some beings and say, okay, this person right here is from the Pleiades. This one's from Sirius. I don't think they're going to roll out anything too tough to look at, like some of the Draco, for instance. They'll hold that back.
Well, and also when it comes to those energies, it's very difficult for humans to tolerate that strong presence that they put off.
The other thing we've gotten from the guides is that it's in this next time period coming up that they're going to be truly, and it's already been declassified, a lot of things as far as technologies, as you can see here, warp drive, dark energy, manipulation of extra dimensions. Due to the Freedom of Information Act, we've gotten a lot of stuff that verifies, science fiction. It's actually kind of amazing how accurate Star Trek and things like this are. Were those people, and there's been videos done where people have looked into, say, Gene Roddenberry and Star Trek, and then you start looking into these ties that these people have. Are they channeling, as Tesla was a channeler? I don't know if you guys realize that or have heard that before, but Tesla channeled ETs.
He was one of the best channelers. I mean, he was someone who, whether he was taking a sip of water, whether he was opening a door, he was almost channeling in very real time certain entities. His mind, his brain, his expertise had a huge purpose coming here.
Yeah, and he definitely got the raw side of the deal in so many ways. I feel bad for him. He was an amazing, amazing, amazing mind and intelligence, and he gave us a lot of stuff that's still under wraps, obviously. As you can see over here, wormhole Earth, hyperspace, and come out in Sirius. Yeah, but newly released documents shed light on government-funded research into wormholes, anti-gravity, and invisibility cloaks. Yeah, this stuff has been coming out a little at a time. This article is from a couple weeks ago, but this has been trickling out over the years. 1,600 pages of documents released to Motherboard are a mix of scientific research, contracts, presentations, briefings, and memos related to the program. Many documents written for or by former Senator Harry Reid, who was responsible for the creation of the program that detailed meetings about AATIP or AAWSAP, argue for or against certain research or contracts and the like. In many cases, documents prepared for the DIA about the theoretical application of certain technologies were prepared by a person or entity whose name is then redacted. And so they're publishing it, and there is a link, and these are all the documents here that you could just pour through. I've poured through some, and and it's just mind-blowing what's out there. It's all kind of out there. It's just a matter of piecing things together. They do bank that people won't go deep, and it works. Because people, again, we've been cultivated in this TikTok 3-minute is the max attention span mentality for a reason. It's to keep us with what in meditation we might call monkey mind.
Well, not to mention we are so busy trying to get everything done and dinner on the table and work, and we're just constantly bombarded. So it's really difficult to go deeper into these things and find the truth.
And then you just have to look over at DARPA and you see that so many things that they're talking about here, these different technologies, they're really actually working on, openly talking about and working on. Because again, you could go over to DARPA, and I'll do that. And you could find things. There's stuff that's way, way more mind-blowing that they don't share. But they do share a lot of mind-blowing stuff.
Well, DARPA seems like the face of inventions and understandings that we're really not privy to, especially those that might be coming from some kind of an alien type.
Oh my God. And you can't make this up. So I just pull up DARPA. Look in the middle here. Draco enters new phases.
Oh no,
It's a new engine they call the Draco. Can't you see what the rock is cooking here? I mean, they put it out in our face, like the Enlil satellite Draco. If there was nothing to see here, do you think this would be in our face? And then some people might say, well, they want you to keep thinking about down this line. I don't know. I think that, again, they know it's all going to be revealed. And we've gotten so many amazing photographs of what could be only ships by the sun. And, some, maybe they have humans on them, because a lot of the triangular ones do, or they have a combination of reptilians and humans. That goes back to Mars. When we remote view Mars, Cindy sees that reptilians and humanoid beings are right now under the surface, working, mining, just doing the same thing that's been done for thousands of years.
Yeah, and the environment really, it looks quite sterile to me, so it doesn't look like there's a lot of color and fluff. Like, and on Earth we see a lot of beauty. When I look at Venus, I see a lot of beauty. Mars is not quite. It's more almost like a clean room when I look at it.
And we've talked about these. Look at the size of this. This is like some sort of orbish object that appears to have a filament tied to it, or some sort of tether tied to it. And you can see the size of the Earth. This is way bigger than the Earth. Way bigger than the Earth. What is it doing? Is it actually sucking prana, plasma, from the sun? Is it powering up its engines? As you can see it right here. And there's been many photos of these things taken over the years that appear to be taking energy from the sun. Are aliens draining our solar energy? Well, hey, the sun started to go quiet, right? We're heading into a grand solar minimum, and this is where, David Devine, Adapt 2030. He's a really good friend of ours, and we respect and admire his mind, his thoughts, his research, But the thing is, in my mind, I look at everything like, okay, there's natural cycles, but are they even natural? Do they have to be natural? Well, we could go back through history and look at these different cycles. But what if humanity's population reaches a certain point? Maybe it's 10 billion. Maybe there's 10 billion people on the planet. No, we can't have 10 billion. And the ETs will make sure that stuff happens, and it doesn't take much to basically send us down the wrong way ecologically. When the sun changes just a few degrees, it can just devastate crop yields and things. So if they have the technology to simply drain off a little energy from the sun, start to put it asleep at a regular interval, when the humanity's population reaches too many, we think back to the Anunnaki stories, and population of Earth got so much that the noise from Earth was interrupting Enlil's sleep, and he was upset. They make too much noise down there. Tell them to shut up. Better yet, let's just send something down there, and the Younger Dryas event, asteroid or whatever it was, could have been an asteroid. Just use a little bit of a gravitational tug from a ship, pull an asteroid from the asteroid belt, send it on a trajectory to Earth. It looks totally natural. It's a natural occurrence. Comes down, hits Greenland, causes all sorts of catastrophes, sends volcanoes going off, sends dust into the air, causes, untold death and destruction, bring the population down to a manageable number. Now they are quiet, and Enlil can sleep.
Yes, indeed. We really are worried about his sleep.
But it might sound crazy, but is it crazy? As you could see this, again, are aliens draining solar energy? Do they actually bring the sun into a grand solar minimum? And now, when we look to Electroverse, and let me do that.
Mm-hmm. I know when we look at all these different things, we can really do some serious dot to dot stuff and kind of bring everything into perspective. So you kind of see things through a different lens. But that's what it takes. That's what awakening is about. It's about turning that lens to a deeper truth, a deeper understanding.
Again, there's WSA-Enlil. Yeah, so, again, is that just coincidence? And so when we look to the sunspots, they're actually above prediction now. They're way above prediction. They're more than double prediction. So is the real source, is the real God with the big G trying to help out humanity by compensating, by increasing the energy that's coming through God's relay, the sun? Again, the Son of God. Just think about the play on words. It makes me think of another Star Trek one. Do you remember the Star Trek where they come on this planet and everybody's worshiping the sun? And it was so cheesy in so many ways. But hey, Star Trek was cheesy with James T. Kirk and William Shatner portraying them. I do really like the younger actor that's portraying Kirk as well. He's great. But anyway, they come upon this planet, and it's kind of like Roman times. Everybody looks like they're in Roman times, and they're worshiping the sun. And, they talk about it being, boy, don't these people know this is just a big ball of gas and nuclear energy, as if it's like so stupid to send any sort of quote unquote worshipful intentions towards the sun. But then they switch it to the SON of God, as if they're believers in Yeshua, Jesus, in the traditional sense, and everything was normal and right. Oh, okay, we got it wrong. They're not so crazy in the first place. They believe in Jesus that was born on a different earth, totally different planet or what have you. So I thought that's again something that's totally backwards, because the sun is a representation of source. I mean, that's source, and source's love right in the sky, looking over us, nurturing all the planets, bringing all this life to us. So I don't think it's crazy or insane to have a feeling of love and gratitude towards that big ball of gas with the nuclear fission going on in the sky, because that's what keeps these bodies alive. Its energy sustains all the life that's here on the mother.
Oh, it's all about the communication and understanding that it's everywhere. Communication is everywhere.
Absolutely. So, Savitur is the name of the sun in the Vedic tradition, or one of the names. So I just thought this was fascinating. As you see another photo showing massive unknown object, apparently a tether. And this one, the object became so energized and then took off at tremendous speed. So, it makes you think about things like how much technology is really out there that they're covering up. There's so much knowledge. We talked about the burning of the books at Alexandria and the fact that so much of the most prized possessions are actually in the Vatican. Of course, they have it all locked up, and they got a Dyson Sphere, which is something that would be made to harness the energy of the sun right out there in their courtyard for everybody to see. The secrets that the Vatican holds would blow minds.
Oh my gosh, it would, and then they keep it right out there still.
And then we have the Kardashev Scale, which was a scale that was intellectualized, rationalized by a scientist named Kardashev. Makes sense, right? And he talked about the fact that Earth is about a 0.7 of a 1 on the Kardashev scale, and the scale he came up with. A type 1 civilization, and there's also type 2, type 3, type 4, type 5. They keep expanding on it as they think up more and more amazing advances, that technological advances, as well as at some point the technology merges with the spirituality, as it really the true science of the multiverse is ultimately spiritual, and vice versa. Of course, the science we get changes all the time because it's not really accurate, not intended to be accurate.
Right. I mean, it changes every other day, and they don't mind doing that.
So a type 1 class civilization would be able to control the energy of their planet. And so when we're looking to Mars and discovering, hey, maybe Mars has 90% of the water still there. Maybe it's got 100%. Well, at a certain level, it might be possible to make a planet dormant. It may be possible to drive that water into the crust of the planet for whatever purpose you might have. Maybe it's just simply to make it easier to mine particular resources.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it sure could. And it was curious when we were talking about this morning. The guides stepped in and they said type 2 about their civilization. It's a type 2. So
okay, so we're talking about the Anunnaki being a type 2.
The Mars atmosphere, yeah, they control it.
Yeah, so this is what the guys are saying. They're a type 2 civilization. So type 2 civilization, what does that mean? It means they can harness the power of their entire star. Not merely transforming starlight into energy, but controlling the star itself. And several methods have been proposed, the most popular of which is the hypothetical Dyson Sphere, which we see that representation in the Vatican. And again, the Vatican has a telescope called Lucifer. Ha, 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 ha. Right? I mean, it's just all right in our faces. This device, if you want to call it that, would encompass every single inch of the star, gathering most, if not all, of its energy output and transferring it to a planet for later use. Alternatively, if fusion power, the mechanism that powers stars, has been mastered by the race, a reactor on a truly immense scale could be used to satisfy their needs. Nearby gas giants can be utilized for their hydrogen, slowly drained of life by an orbiting reactor. What would this much energy mean for a species? Well, nothing known to science could wipe out a type 2 civilization. Take, for instance, if humans survived long enough to reach this status, and a moon-sized object entered our solar system on a collision course with our little blue planet, we'd have the ability to vaporize it out of existence. Or if we had time, we could move our planet out of the way, completely dodging it. But let's say we didn't want to move Earth. Are there any other options? Yes, because we'd have the capability to move Jupiter or another planet of our choice into the way. Pretty cool, right? And it reminds me of what we had seen a video of like a comet coming in, and it got tugged out of the way, got tugged into another orbit. This is the type of technology that, again, we are talking about by the real controllers. And yes, that can be something that could be so terrifying that people would rather conceptualize God as being a nice elderly gentleman with a white flowing beard playing a harp on a cloud, because that's a lot less threatening than extraterrestrials that have this type of technology.
I know, and then the other part that makes me sad when I do tap into Mars is Mars as a being is not comfortable. Mars is very uncomfortable. That makes me sad.
That is sad. And that's what they've done to so many, everything they touch, basically. When we've looked at Nibiru, again, Nibiru is more like a machine than it is a planet. It was a planet. It was a goddess planet with beautiful energy, amazing pastel colors, amazing, let's say, geological formations. Not like Earth, different than Earth, but yet still there's beauty, like just as there is beauty out in the desert in some ways. So like when we go into New Mexico, when we enter New Mexico heading towards Gallup, there's just this amazing red rock cliffs everywhere. It's just incredibly beautiful and gorgeous. Imagine stuff like that, but with pastel colors.
Very beautiful pearlescence, and then the other energies I saw before it was transformed is like a lot of crystal rocks, and then like when I see the water, that's the pearlescence. The pearlescence really stuck out on Nibiru.
And Nibiru can be moved at will, so it's not like it's in a fixed orbit of 3,600 years, like Zecharia Sitchin said. they could park it anywhere they want. They can control it. If they could control stars, they could control a planet. That would not be quite as hard. So when we go to type 3, where a species then becomes galactic transversers, with the knowledge of everything having to do with energy, resulting in them becoming a master race, in terms of humans, hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, yes, these beings are that far ahead. They're very far ahead of us, both biological and mechanical. May result in the inhabitants of this Type 3 civilization being incredibly different from the human race as we know it. These may be cyborgs or cybernetic organism beings, both biological and robotic, with the descendants of regular humans being a subspecies now among the highly advanced society. These wholly biological humans would likely be seen as being disabled, inferior, or unevolved by their cybernetic counterparts. And this is exactly the attitude that we have with the Anunnaki when they view us. Now, in us, Source lives. In them, their source energy is merged with a Borg, a collective. So they're losing it. They have a hive mentality, even though they're extremely ego-driven. And they've lost that. It's so much like the vampire legends where, when you kill a vampire, it's really gone. The individuality is gone. It's very much like that. What we hold inside ourselves is this beautiful source energy that's meant to be unique and has unlimited unique capabilities and potential. And so you might view yourself as having these quote unquote flaws, but in reality it's a beautiful thing to have all these different unique characteristics. Whether we view them in a positive light or a negative light, we're unique. And yet, then when you go through the way they have gone down that dark path into a merger with the nanobots and the cybernetics, it just becomes a one-size-fits-all. And just think about the corporate world. How many of you have had to just say scripts that make you puke when you get into a job? That's not the way we do it. You say it like this. You answer. People bring up particular questions or wordings, and you got to be like a robot spewing out exactly phrased words to take them down a prescribed path. Nothing unique, nothing individual. And that's why the corporate world actually makes me physically sick, because that's where it leads.
Mm-hmm. And so many of you we speak to that have difficulty in the corporate world, following policy, following procedure. But if we were allowed to simply let our intuition take over and only do things that we were really good at naturally, we would be so much more advanced. So I really feel the way they have things laid out with all the policies, that's just, it's all about controlling and entrapping in a way.
Can you smell what the Anunnaki are cooking? The world's first living robots can now reproduce. This is exactly what we're talking about here. We're seeing science fiction become science fact right in front of our eyes. As we piece all these things together, we get a clear picture of what's going on. The world's first living robots, known as Xenobots, can now reproduce, U.S. scientists have revealed. Details about the robots created using heart and skin stem cells from the African clawed frog were unveiled last year after experiments showed they could move and self-heal. Now the scientists at Tufts University, University of Vermont, and Harvard, who made these Xenobots, say the tiny little guys can self-replicate. The results of new research were published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences on Monday. Experiments showed that organisms can swim out into the dish, find other single cells, and assemble baby Xenobots. I wonder if that's happening in anybody's body at the moment. Uh-oh. I shouldn't have said that. A few days later, the babies become new baby Xenobots that look and move just like the initial creation. Oh, and behold, man has become as one of us. Genesis 3:22. New Xenobots can then go out and self-replicate again, according to the scientists. They're less than a millimeter wide, they're designed on a computer, and they're hand-assembled. The scientists said they were stunned to learn that tiny blobs could spontaneously replicate. People have thought for quite a long time that we worked out all the ways that life can reproduce or replicate, but this is something that's never been observed before. Oh boy, that's a tangled web we go down the dark side, guys.
I know, and look, now these beings can claim to be gods and be their owners, and look what they've been doing to us. They've been sort of kind of manipulating our innards, and I wonder if somebody's going to try to claim that they now own us.
Yeah, I mean, these little guys could be just wafting on down from that cloud in the sky that's got the tic-tac-toe pattern. Just don't inhale too deeply under that cloud.
No, don't.
Absolutely. So, as always, guys, we want to thank you for your support over on Patreon and Ko-Fi. We couldn't do it without your support over there. Do check out Medicinal Foods. Lots of great stuff. Lots of great info. Use coupon code EEA, and you do save some money, and you also support the channel. As always, be prepared out there. Cindy, are you going to give us a ding?
No, we're going to next time.
Okay. Next time, she's going to give you guys a ding. And as always, much love. God bless. Namaste.
Namaste.